Welcome to the History Curiosities channel. In this video, I'll be discussing some of the most curious events in history. From strange coincidences to unbelievable feats, these stories will leave you amazed. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Why is 536 the worst year to have lived in all of history? The worst year in history is a common phrase in recent times. Much more so, after the year 2020. A year in which tragic and unexpected events did not cease. Diseases, terrorist attacks, rising unemployment, insecurity, the death of Kobe Bryant and a host of other tragedies. However, historical records show that no year has been worse than 536. In this video, we will tell you about some truly amazing archaeological and scientific historical events that occurred in that year. Undoubtedly, after watching the video you will be thankful that you exist now and not in the year 536. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to keep up to date with our updates. Volcanic eruption in Iceland. The beginning of a dark fog with unimaginable consequences in early 536. In Iceland, there was a volcanic explosion of colossal magnitude. Large quantities of ash were ejected and spewed across the northern hemisphere. The ashes caused great disasters on the planet. Part of Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Asia were covered by a mysterious fog. For 18 months darkness was generated that made it impossible to distinguish day from night. At that time, the coldest decade of the last 2,300 years began. So great was the magnitude of this disaster that science has been able to reveal the aftermath. Studies of a Swiss glacier as part of research sponsored by Harvard University revealed the following. The fog caused darkness during the 6th century of the Middle Ages due to the volcanic eruption that occurred in Iceland in 536. It was followed by another 21 in 540 and another in 547. In the research, it was described the Vandal War. The sun gave its light without brightness, like the moon, which caused a continuous night, giving rise to robberies and delinquency. Further extensive testing was done on tree ring analysis as the well-known Icelandic oak showed unusual growth. The results indicated that in the years around 540 it was quite unusually cold. This caused the tree not to grow. In 2015, the journal Science found that Greenland and Antarctica ice cores contained compounds such as sulfur. These are substances that are produced during a volcanic eruption. A study by the University of Bern found that more explosions and volcanoes may have originated in El Salvador and the North American area. It was this combination that caused a small ice age that lasted a whole decade. It wiped out both crops and the lives of many, many people due to malnutrition caused by famine. These are the 4 disasters caused by this event. Number 1, food shortage. The sun's rays were totally hidden by a dense black cloud. The lack of sunlight had devastating effects. Without sunlight, plants were unable to photosynthesize. This greatly affected all crops, causing food shortages. This scenario caused a worldwide famine throughout the year 536. The low temperatures that originated in that year lasted for the following decades, increasingly affecting food crops. Number 2. The appearance of a terrible plague wiped out the Byzantine Empire. Historians record that this climatic phenomenon caused migrations of disease-infected rodents. Traders were the ones who began to carry the plague to every corner of the world. The contaminated rodents became a source of propagation. They were present in the cities, on trains carrying soldiers, and in homes. At the same time, the lack of sun and food generated a considerable decrease in vitamin D in the population. This fact hinders calcium absorption and makes children prone to rickets. Against this backdrop, the epidemic attacked the immune system of people regardless of their status, including the residents of the imperial palace. People began to develop sores on the palms of their hands, and swelling in their legs as a result of swollen lymph nodes. Diseases affecting the lungs. Some were even unable to walk. The plague spread to the territory of Constantinople, where Istanbul is today. Piles of corpses were caused, to the point that no more burials were planned. Therefore, infected bodies began to be thrown into the street or into the sea. People lying in the streets were mistaken for the dead. They even had to shout that they were alive to be left alone and not buried. This whole situation was ideal for the epidemic to spread much further. Those who collected the corpses were healthy people who ended up being infected. Historical data indicate that more than 50 million people died. All this made the city begin to stink and the emperor had to leave. The epidemic was named the Plague of Justinian to refer to who was one of the most recognized characters of the Byzantine Empire and the last emperor of the Roman Empire. Justinian made great attempts to recover the territories that were once part of the Roman Empire from the beginning of the 6th century. East of Constantinople there were a good number of Romans after they had emigrated. Many of them wished to live in the better times of the classical Roman Empire. Under Justinian's rule, the arrival of the Romans was something that suited Justinian very well, and he used it to his advantage because there were already too many uprisings against him. However, the epidemic put an end to a whole period of splendor and caused dozens of deaths. So many deaths that the Byzantine Empire was never able to fully recover. After this, as a consequence of the bubonic plague, the Byzantine Empire lost between 35 and 55% of its population. Number 3. The climatic debacle in China. The climate also showed signs of abnormality. A 6th century chronicle says that yellow ash began to fall from the sky in August. This was the beginning of the weather disturbance, as it was snow. The phenomenon caused the summer crops to be greatly affected. Famine and disease gripped the cities, which lost up to 80% of the population. Number 4. The devastation of civilization. The aftermath of what happened in 536 also reached the American continent. They mercilessly attacked the native civilization of Peru. This civilization had advanced irrigation, fishing, and storage systems. The climatological disaster caught up with them because it caused a great drought that disabled their advanced systems. After the droughts, great floods occurred that destroyed everything they had built and thousands of fish died. The population was left without their infrastructure and without food. Undoubtedly, the year 536 was an environmental debacle, and a year of suffering for the human race. That dark cloud prevented the incidence of the sun's rays on the earth. This brought food shortages, plagues, and the loss of many human lives, and the destruction of great civilizations and empires. The consequences of the events of the 6th century crossed continents. Today we have been shown that the title of the worst year in history deserves the year 536. We hope you found this video useful. If you have anything to add, please share it with us in the comments section. Like this video and send the link to your family and best friends. This way they will also know why the year 536 is the worst year to have lived in all of history. We'll be back soon with more curiosities from history.